Welcome to another episode of Tech Society with your hosts, tech entrepreneurs and software pioneers, John Nguyen and Alex Dunmow.
Hey techies, welcome to another episode of Tech Society. Today we have Bernie White, Corporate Account Manager from Business News. Bernie is passionate about making every relationship meaningful and nurturing. A commercially minded, result-driven sales and marketing leader, she continuously achieves success within a diverse range of relationship management and business development roles. Since we have recently moved into our new home in East Victoria Park, our recording studio has not been commissioned in the new location. So a big shout out to Business News for generously offering Tech Society the use of their podcast studio and for our interview with Bernie today.
Purpose, process, payoff.
So what is that?
So okay, what that is when you go and we'll say sit with a client, there has to be a purpose for me coming and sitting with you, and how that'll work in this whole thing is to have put the process together on what you want to achieve, what are you hoping to achieve, so that there is a win-win for both parties. So if you don't believe in the three P's, the purpose, the process and the payoff, passionately, you're not going to do justice to the customers out there. You're going to go there on your own agenda, and you're not going to be open to listening. And the key, I think, in today's environment is to ensure that you are there for the customer and the customer's needs and walk in their shoes, right? I think a lot of people go on their own agenda and they don't look at what is really hurting you, where are the gaps, what can we do to get you there, and what are your goals?
I mean, you due to the nature of what you do for Business News, you meet a lot of businesses, right?
Yes.
You must have a pretty good idea of the landscape of Perth and how many businesses are out there, who's doing well, who's not doing well, who's being innovative, who's kind of boring. What does Perth look like from your perspective?
So Perth look like it's very progressive. Perth is
really?
Totally.
That's actually surprising.
It is very progressive.
I'm shocked to hear you say that.
Why?
I thought you would
why?
be like, it's a mining town. Everything.
No, not at all. Not at all. Why do you feel? Why do you feel that? Why do you feel that we're? I think that mentality of Perth being stuck in the arse end of the world is like it's become like forefront of people's thinking.
That's correct.
I don't think arse end of the world, but anyone who asks. So we meet people and they say, "What kind of software do you build?" And then they say, "Do you work with the mining industry?" Yes. Everyone just assumes that.
Okay,
you're a Perth business, you work with the mining industry.
It's interesting that you say that, right? Because I think if everyone
goes, by the way, but
no. But it's interesting that people have that mentality, because don't you find that as an opportunity when they turn around and they go, "Oh, yeah, they're so." So what are you doing then to make it innovative? What are you going to do to educate that market to be innovative? And by being innovative, we can increase that bottom line. Because at the end of the day, guys, we are all worried about that bottom line.
Well, we're going to advertise in Business News, right? That's the answer.
Yeah, and also we run a podcast.
We also need to have consistency here, okay? Not this ad hoc behaviour. Don't put me, as we spoke at the start, I said, don't treat me like a mushroom, okay? Because I do burrow myself around the corners and I get to know what's going on. I don't amplify it and let people know to piss them off, not let people know what's going on, because it's at their discretion that they will tell me. But I know what's going on, so I tend to, with my clients, say, if you can't tell me what's going on, I can't help you. So just feel comfortable enough to tell me how you would like to progress.
So the role of account manager is quite personal then?
Very personal.
Yeah.
I think, and maybe I hold my heart on my sleeve. Yes, it's very. I treat every client, I put every client in a bubble, right? And I don't share information about who's who and what's what. That's why when you brought up what's the landscape, well, I can give you a landscape.
From a big picture.
From a big picture. Yeah. I think it's progressive. And if we don't feel that it's progressive, it's because we aren't educating the market enough to make them, to spark interest. Right? I feel there is a disjoint. I want everything to join the dots, right? Don't leave a gap in your conversation and hope that I'm going to be a mind reader to get to that, to get your result. So yeah, I don't want people to say one thing to one person and hope that it is going to come to me in the same fashion, right? There's something going to be disjointed and it's going to be lost in translation, like a lot of things happen, right? So I just think that if we're totally transparent with everybody, right, especially my clients, I go, I'll help you. Just tell me exactly where you want to go. If you want to pause, we'll pause. I understand that you're going through difficulty. Let's pause it. Let's move on to this time. And that way we can ramp it so that you will get that consistency back. I don't want you to be forgotten when you went out with a bang, when you started with a bang and then suddenly disappeared out of the market, and think that LinkedIn is going to help you along the line. So, right, so I just think that if there is a pain going on in an organisation, help me understand, because I'll work it out where we can ramp it up again, where we can get that consistency. So that piece that hit the market, we'll say a month ago or 2 months ago, is not lost when we ramp it up again, because we will join those dots very quickly.
What are some of the most more successful campaigns you've seen, that you've managed?
Okay, so there's...
What were the lessons from them? What did they do well?
So I think, I love when we have spoken to the audience about what that company can do for you, right? I can name a few names. I'll give you one name. Next DC was a classic for me, right? I put forward a native package. What that looks like is that it has these daily email alerts, and then it gives you their story. It gives a story about them. It's got the run of the website. But the best thing about it is that I can give them ROI from that. It can tell you how many reads, it can tell you how many people clicked on it, but it's not about that. It's about them connecting with you. So that particular campaign was huge. And even with Valrada is another company that does beautiful campaign, right? They not only do they sponsor events because they want that branding, and they also go for the engagement at those events and their strategic engagements, which is brilliant, right? So if, say, for instance, you were in there and you say, oh, I'd love to be introduced to this person, that's the kind of audience that we attract, and that's the kind of giving back.
So it's more than
as
just
a consultant.
Print media.
Oh, it's not, print.
Community.
Absolutely. Business news is the community. Couldn't have put it better myself. Yes. So print, no, that's only a part of the mix. It has to be the whole gamut of products. So we've got events where you can, the Success and Leadership has all your people like your Nev Powers and, Woodside and people like that that'll talk. And then you've got Policy and Politics that you have all the, people like Rita Saffioti and the people in Turnbull and all of those, the people in politics that talk about what's going on with infrastructure or, So there are different diverse topics and diverse landscape in the Success and Leadership as well. The event that's coming up next is Rise Business Awards, and that's targeting predominantly the startups and people that have actually made their worth.
Before we continue this podcast, here's a message from our sponsor.
We believe that you can create art and beauty with technology. We think big. We move quietly. We are Ninja Software.
I'm curious about what you said about ROI.
Oh, yes.
SDC. So how do you measure it? And is there a feedback loop from the actual dollars that come back from, you said something about the views of the articles and stuff.
Okay, so I'll give you a tiny snapshot, right? So for instance, you spend, we'll say, $5,000, we'll say. You spend $5,000, right? How we measure ROI is from their end. What I give you is how many people have actually connected with you, right? From your side, the data analytics, you'll be able to get some sort of idea. But I try to coach my customers to put different messages, different messaging, and the different messaging to land on a different URL. And if you do that, it'll give you an indicator on your end how many people, as a result of that particular campaign, you're getting interactions.
A/B testing.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
So because I come from that environment, Census, you know what, working for Census was just that's where you know what, they invested a lot of money on their people, right? And the training that they tirelessly gave us, I haven't got words to tell you how good that company was. They're the ones that gave me my footprint, you know, of being successful. Everything was measurable, everything was transparent, everything was, you know, they would listen to their people, they allowed you to grow, they wanted you to show them a different way. So that whole ethos is something that I work with. I thrive in that environment, you know, that actually works with people that are innovative, that want to progress, that can take the company to a different level. I have not found that.
Ninja Software's pretty good at that.
Yes, I am hearing.
So why do you think that it's so rare to find a place like that? What's missing, or is it just easier to be, you know, top-down dictatorial?
Command and control.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not really sure. Maybe they're scared. Maybe the right people aren't put in those places. Your leader is a person that it's a person that has been privileged to get that, because he or she has made their name in the marketplace, and now it's time for them to not take the kudos. They are now wanting their people to take the kudos. So you want to embrace that behavior, allow these people to grow, you know, and have a voice, and listen to that voice, you know, and even if it's a little bit challenging, you need to take that challenge as a positive, right, and not take it as a negative, right? So I just think that your people have got the EI, the intelligence, the emotional intelligence to, and that's another one. I don't think too many people have got EI. They have no emotional intelligence to gauge when you walk into a room, there's something wrong, right? Like, maybe I'm assertive, I don't know. Maybe it is that, and I'm empathetic at the same time. Yes, I might come across as hard. The only reason that I might come across as hard is because I'm passionate about what I have to deliver to my customer, right? My customers come first, because without my customer, I won't have a job, and the job won't have me, and without me, the business won't happen. You know, that kind of joining the dots that I'm talking about. So a company, when they open their doors, have to have the best people, right? They invest in the best people because there was a reason behind it. Now, what could have gone wrong if they feel that person has become dysfunctional? If that person has become dysfunctional, do you think that that person may be screaming out that there is something going on in the organisation? Rather than block them out or stonewall them or pretend that nothing's going on, is not going to, you're not going to celebrate a cohesive culture. You're going to have a disruptive culture where there's a lot of anarchy on the floor and you're oblivious to what's going on.
I think it's pretty common. I would say it's more common than enjoyable, progressive workplaces. I would say. It's my experience.
I think it takes a certain type of person to reach the top, and that type of person can usually be someone who doesn't treat others well. That's how they got to the top in the first place. Not always the case, but it can happen.
So what's all this talk out there then that that the businesses are becoming more? Is that just
Becoming more what?
loud? Is that noise? Is that just noise that you want people to hear?
I think so.
I think it's disgraceful.
It's kind of like saying that you're a green company, and what are they actually doing to actually classify themselves as an environmentally positive company? How many companies are actually even carbon neutral and yet still fly the green flag? It's exactly the same. They want to seem progressive, and they want to seem empathetic and seem like the kind of workplace the
that you
Generation
want
Z
to
will want to work at. But are they? Probably not. I don't.
So how do you change that? Because I love to be in an environment where there's constant change, and maybe that's what's disruptive about me. Maybe I don't think this world can accept that. I'm not really sure. Maybe I'm too disruptive. I'm too disruptive because I want things to be efficiently run. I want transparency. I want collaboration that is constructive. And I want your point of view. And I don't want to challenge that point of view. And if I do, it's going to be for the betterment of the business.
I think it's a changing culture for the country, not just business. I think it's school teachers. I think probably starts there. I mean, bad school teachers.
Yeah, okay.
And then
But how do we change this now? How do we change it? Without people in fear that, I've said too much and, I shouldn't have said that. Why not?
No more schools, I guess.
I have a few family members that are school teachers, and they're amazing school teachers. From amazing is that they take the way I'm talking right now, right, and where they have a voice. And if they can't make a difference, they leave the school and go to the next school. Right? So they are looking for companies or for schools that are progressive, that will allow you to talk, because they have the backing of those students, right? And this particular person that's in a school out in Mandurah, right? They didn't like it, but he had half the school's pupils that backed him up. So he kept his job.
That's an interesting point. What kind of weight does the students have?
A lot. Because without the students, there's no teachers.
What would it take for a student to leave a school? I
remember we got when I was in high school, we got a teacher fired because she was horrible, and I believe I orchestrated this, but I don't remember. And but we striked, so we would not go into her classroom anymore because she was just horrible. She would punish people for nothing, and
you'll obviously had the proof, right?
Well, she was grading.
It's not just.
She was even grading the top students badly, so it was fairly clear that she was the problem. If they're getting A's in every other class, but they're getting D's and F's in this one, then the teacher's the problem. So, we just sat outside every time her classes, like the whole class. So even the nerds were protesting.
That is impressive.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys managed that.
Because they were getting D's and F's.
That's true.
Yeah. So
that's not very good.
So I think everyone has the power. I might, but it seems like I'm advocating for collective action, and as a boss, that's
I just think
not in my
that
best interest.
No, but I think you know what? We all have something to put or to give in a business, right? We all have something to give, and if it's going to accelerate the progress of our company, of our business, then why wouldn't you nurture or foster that relationship with that person that you engaged because you saw that this person is going to be a huge asset to your business? Why would you not nurture them to take you to that next level? Right? So I had a conversation with a gentleman this afternoon, a CEO of the Netlink Group, right? And we were having this very similar conversation, and he said the reason why I'm the founder and the owner is because he takes those people, he allows for open conversations, and he said the reason why their progress, and they're partners of Telstra, why their progress is because they are open to everybody's point of view, and they're not stuck in their ways.
It's interesting that you thought of that. A lot of smart business people don't see how much of what they do could actually be automated or improved.
Absolutely. I look at that because I love tech, because I believe the tech space has got so much to offer that will accelerate their end game, right? And because manpower cannot move that fast. It's like the speed of light. So, and that is what they need to understand, the value of that tech. That's when I said to you about joining the dots. The lack of education is why they are not innovatively thinking.
It's hard to educate people on this, especially when a lot of people are afraid of it. They fear it.
But why do you think they're fear of it? Because you could make it as lay as I did.
Well, I think they fear it because they're afraid of things that they don't understand.
So why don't we make them understand?
And that's where business news would come in, right?
Not necessarily. Your salespeople can come. Your director of sales can do that for you. But you're right. From business news coming to it, we tell the story so to spark interest, to engage with you. So yes, business news will come into play for that.
It's a hard space. I think we're not the only ones who have found it hard to educate people in this space, and even bigger companies you mentioned, they do their best to educate, and in the end it becomes easier just to kind of push a product with a promise rather than actually educate people on the possibilities that tech opens up.
I think personally, no. You know what? They'll rather tend to.
I don't actually.
No, but
I don't actually have any experience with Valrada's advertising.
No, but
they're right in that space, and they need to educate people on IT.
But I find that
technology.
they tend to get more buy-in when they are sitting with you face to face, right? Because they do get down and talk about how it will be effective for you. We'll use case studies. I usually like to get, if you can't put it into words, I rather get the journalist to sit there, right?
What kind of story gets the highest ROI? Is it the kind of second-hand experience, or is it more
Underdog style.
Well, you got those kind of like show pony stories. I would say the article we put in Business News is very kind of esoteric. And,
it's very engaging.
Yeah.
Right? It's disruptive because it's aha. They go like aha, right? From a visual, it's like what the, right? When you read, it's like these guys are real, right? We want engagement to find out a little bit more. I think case studies after that, right, where you can actually, because people buy from stories.
Yeah.
Right? And they love it because it's like proven. It's proven. So if you can take one of your case studies and show that you could tweak it to even give them a better result, that is the story that should be said. Because people then will start opening their minds.
So should we do that story with the client?
Yes, because that's a testimonial all in one. Perfect. You answered your own question. That is perfect. And yeah, and if you're not going to write it, then maybe the journo can be with you doing it.
I'd prefer
Yeah.
a story written by
Because
a journalist.
it's articulated, isn't it? But you know what? Our audience they're not that untouchable that people think that are untouchable. Because, everyone that I have spoken to, right, from the one or two that you might get that are, that they are better than you, I think the majority of the ones that I've dealt with, very easy, contactable, they don't, and if they stonewall you, there must be something that's going on. You need to be having the eye to understand that it's not all about you, that there is something else that's going on in the back of house. It's like I was reading nonverbal NVC, isn't it? Nonverbal communication. Yes, nonverbal communication. So it's all about when we're driving and you think when somebody just gets right in front of you, you go so and you get yourself all distressed over this jerk coming right in front of you. So what if we take a back step while we're driving? This is what I've learned, and go, obviously there's something that is happening in that person's
Or
life.
they're just a wanker.
Yeah, or they're just a terrible driver.
I had read this and I was in the car, right? Finished this appointment and this person did it to me. What part, and this is me, what part of that lesson did you not learn to not get frustrated? You don't know, something could have happened with that person. And he ended up meeting up with me because he was speeding like anything, and he was speeding, and I went, and I just waved at him.
Yeah.
As instead of doing that, right? So you don't know. We don't know.
How did he
going
respond?
on. And he goes,
He waved back.
yeah.
Did he look confused or did he look sorry?
Yeah, he looked confused. He looked confused. But, he
why-
probably was confused and sorry at the same time, thinking, what a sweet lady, or what a bitch, or what a dickhead, or whatever. I don't really care because I felt okay letting him do what he did.
It's definitely not worth getting angry. Or
But it's
holding
human,
on
isn't
to
it?
anger. I do just assume they're a wanker. I move on with my life.
I love that.
At least you don't hold a grudge.
No, you've got to move on.
Well, it's
move
full
on.
of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
If you're going to get upset about it, then
Yeah.
that's going to be your full-time job.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not worth it, right? Because I
No.
mean, you can see dysfunctional behaviour in people's faces. It comes out in different ways. It manifests and it grows and it becomes like a big pus bubble
I like that.
that you want to just.
It's evocative.
Yeah, it is. I just think you need to be kind to people, and just understand that there is things that are happening out there that may not necessarily help their cause right now, but it will come. They talk about it's a marathon, not a journey. Marathon, not a sprint.
Sprint.
Marathon, not a sprint, but yet they need the sprint now.
There's always pressure to sprint, though. It's
But
never
how do you
ending.
nurture and foster a relationship without pissing you off?
Yeah, you can't. If you push a relationship with most, I think, especially busy people, they'll just
Just move on.
yeah.
Exactly. And just don't. And it is a numbers game. We know that. Right? But the way things are, you need to walk in those clients' shoes to understand that it isn't as peachy as you think the economy is. Right?
I don't think anyone's thinking the economy is peachy right now, though. Right?
We just hit the recession, actually. First
Oh,
one in
yes,
30
I heard
years.
that. I know.
So not
But we
too
knew
flash.
it was coming. It wasn't something that... It's almost like, who was our last recession that had to
The
happen?
recession that we had to have, that was Paul Keating.
Paul Keating.
I'm a big fan of Paul Keating.
Same. So this is a recession that had to happen. We can't ride the wave all the time, okay? We are like... The economy is like the stock market. We have our highs and lows. You got to ride it, right? And only the weak will die.
Oh, the strong survive, the weak die.
Well, the lucky survive. I think
Lucky and
there's
strong.
I think it's strategic, not so much lucky. I think it's how you plan, right?
I think there's definitely an element.
If you fail
of
to
luck,
plan, you plan
but-
to fail.
Yeah. Strategy. You have to have a strategy, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have to be out there actually doing the strategy. I think there's definitely an element of luck surviving something like COVID. Some people will have done all the right things and they won't make it.
That's true, but because that there's underlying situations, whether they have got weak lungs like I do, which I try to keep myself in a cocoon. But, when it's your time to go, suck it up, princess. You're going to go. You can do what you have to do. It's just unfortunate. It's your time.
Wow, I don't know where to go from there.
That's a heavy
Yeah.
final comment there.
That is it? Is it really?
It brings a sense of hopelessness to someone who's put their blood, sweat and tears into their ventures.
But there are other avenues out there that will make you grow, and that will grab you with two hands and go, let's do it, right? I look for visionaries. I want to be around people that are constantly looking outside the box that they're living in and finding new ways to make a difference. My mantra is, I told you, is about...
Your signature.
My signature. It was inspired by choices, motivated by visionaries, and I challenged the status quo to make a difference and winning customers for life. That's me. That's what inspires and makes me wake up every day.
I like that. I like the challenge the status quo. That's probably my favourite bit.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
We see ourselves as challenging the status quo.
I think that's progressive. That word itself is progressive because it opens up an avenue that is endless possibilities. That's why I love that, challenging the status quo, because every challenge is an opportunity.
Just like COVID.
Perfect. Reset button. Hit the reset button and see what you could do better.
Good time to pivot.
It's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you have got the, you can actually assess your workforce and see who actually did exceptionally well during COVID working autonomously and brought in the most revenue. So I think that's a good way to weed out the best to become better.
I don't know how familiar you are with wrestling and MMA, but when the fighters come out, they have their intro music, right?
Yeah.
And then the lights go down, and they walk out, and the crowd goes wild, and the music starts. What is your intro music?
Tonight's the night.
Tonight's the night. Welcome to the end of another episode of Tech Society.
On this day in tech history, the 2nd of October, 1955, the world's first fully electronic computer, after 11 years of continuous service, was retired. This was the ENIAC, the ENIAC computer. This episode was sponsored by Ninja Software, an entrepreneurial software company that thinks big and moves quietly. Ninja Software executes high-risk, high-concept, high-value software products. Check them out at njs.dev.
Thank you for listening, everyone. I'm Alex.
I'm John.
See you later.
Bye.